Hello, Math 126 fans. I'm Dr. Andy Lovelace. Looking forward to a good quarter here. I've been teaching at the University of Washington for 20 years. I've taught about 22,000 students, I realized the other day when I was counting. This course I've taught many, many times. But what's fun is during the pandemic, I made a lot of 3D visuals. And so I've kind of redone how I do this course. And I think it's been exciting, and I'm excited to continue that this term with you. So you're going to help me this term by asking me lots of questions about the homework, about the material. Hopefully you ask me questions taking it further, and together we can make this course more exciting for you and for those to come in the future. So I'm excited about that. My promise to you is, as much as possible, I will have 3D visuals in all our classes, and I will try to make you understand where things are coming from and get you interested in the topic. The course is challenging. You're going to take challenging exams and a final, but I hope to engage you and make it worthwhile to deal with that challenge. The main things you need to know is you need to be actively working on the homework and spread out your work. And you need to treat the homework like it's a test. So I'm not going to go through everything because I will do a lot of this in class, but I thought it would be nice to get a little introduction. And we'll have a lot of time together. So briefly, here's the Canvas course. I don't have much fuss here. I have the course rules. You can do little things like the policies. You can get extensions on homework. You can do it automatically up to 3 days past a due date. There's a slight penalty. There's structure. There's advice. There's a syllabus quiz. Don't worry, that isn't scary. It's more about getting to know you. Here's how you're going to access the homework. Again, we'll talk about that in class. A typical week's going to look like this, and I'm trying to make this as simple as possible. I will have 3 lecture outlines, which you'll do when you come into class, is you can click on that or print it out ahead of time. We'll do it in class. Historically, I would work those out on paper in class. I'm thinking about using a OneNote so that I can more easily switch to visuals. We'll experiment in the first week. But this is the outline of roughly what we will do. Class times will be recorded. It will appear on Panopto after class. I do have old filled in lecture notes. As I do more visuals and as I post some things ahead of time, I might do more things slightly off script in class, try to pull up homework. Oftentimes I'll put a homework question on the screen as you walk in. So there'll be some adaptation. So it won't be exactly in my outline, but that gives you a good idea. What you're going to do in quiz sections are these little test preps. This is what rather than do worksheets or other things, for the last 2 years, I have a collection of exam problems I've put together. I used to email this out to students every week, but I found out lots of people didn't ever look at that. So what we're going to do instead is when you walk into quiz section, you're going to spend 10 minutes on an old exam question. At the end of that time, you'll get a participation code. You'll enter it. The codes for this week, I'm telling you ahead of time, the code for the first one is 1. The code for the second one is 0.75. There's all sorts of people that are sick and traveling the first week. So even if you don't go this first week, you can log in and get credit. You're also allowed to miss several. So the hope is in the end, this is just a study tool for you and a light encouragement to go to quiz section. This will open on Tuesday. There'll be a link in there to a collection of old exam questions. My plan this term, if I have enough time for it, is I will make short videos to go with those as well. I'm trying to build a collection of study material to really help you understand. But I don't want to take away from much of that time because I would like you to still be able to engage and ask questions about the homework. So that's what I'm doing. Links to the homework are here. So that's it. I'm trying to make this as simple as possible. Lecture outline. This is what you'll open when you walk into quiz section. And you'll enter a little code. And these are the homeworks. The due dates for the homework are on there. I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. I will post week 2 by the end of this week. And eventually I'll get several weeks ahead. But since I'm kind of redesigning my structure, that's the setup. I don't really care what the due dates are there, though. What really matters is this calendar. And I'm going to hand this out in class. And it links to this. So I have 2 things. The calendar and my review sheets. This is what my old website. but I'm still going to leave this here. It's very popular with students because it has these review sheets that summarize everything. That in itself won't make you do better on the test, but it'll make you check. My final exam review sheet is extremely popular. It has kind of a collection of that's not it. This one, course fact summary, has a collection of all the facts. So more on that later. My exam archive is pretty thorough. So there's not a shortage of stuff. Sometimes students complain there's too much stuff. You don't have to look at that. You have to master the homework. That's your goal. Okay, so to me, the thing I'm trying to emphasize even more is this course calendar. I'll hand this out to you, but I've added several things to it. This is new this term. And the things I've added are this. I've added this guide to success. I noticed the last time I taught this, that when I would go look in the record, and this is not surprising, I did the same thing when I was a student, but a lot of students were opening the homework the day it was closing. And they were regularly doing it. Some students were regularly getting an extension. And then they would do poorly on the test and email me, and I'd look at their record. So instead of telling you after the fact, I'm telling you now. This is, in my experience, the number one key to success. This does not guarantee success, but it's definitely your first step. Some students have deficiencies or learning how to study. There's other reasons people face challenges, but this is a challenge you can control. And it is when you open the homework. And what I'm saying, when I say open the homework, it doesn't mean finish the homework. It means do a couple problems. And I have just seen this as a real clear factor in student success. And so when I talk about 12.1 in lecture, you should open 12.1. Oh, I need to fix my calendar, so that says 12.1. What I'm seeing, this behavior, the problem I'm worried about is I've seen that I'll discuss 12.1, and then I'll look in a student's record and they won't open 12.1 till 8 days later. And I think you can see the problem with that. Is that student's already pretty far behind? The student complains and says, but you don't have the homework due until then. I can't have the homework due any earlier. I would if I could, because we have so many people adding and dropping the class for the first week that I have to have it due. Every assignment has to be due much later than I'd like it to be due because of all the other factors coming into play with students. But you need to open 12.1 this day, open 12.2 this day, and make significant progress. Your goal should be to make significant progress in those assignments. Okay, so that's really key. You say, well, I have a lot of other classes. I'm not asking you to complete them. I am asking you to open it. At some point after class, pick a time where you're going to open it and do a few problems. My discussion board is going to have lots of hints and help, but if you don't open it till the day it's due or the day before, you're not going to be able to use those resources. So all my other advice doesn't matter if you aren't opening the assignments. That's something you can control. So open 12. So I've added this blue line. Open 12.2 on this day. Open 12.3 on this day. Open 12.4 on this day. At this point, you'll start to feel the crunch at the beginning of week 2. You'll be like, oh, but I'm not done with those other assignments. I still want you to open those assignments. But the other thing is finishing. I would finish 12.1 within 3 days of after I discuss it. Or else you're going to feel like you're behind and feel like things pile up. I know that's hard. You should finish 12.2 within 3 days of after I discuss it. So I added the weekends. Something I've been doing recently is I email everyone the first few weekends if I notice they haven't opened the assignment. So that email is not going to be negative, but if you don't want to get that email, open 12.1 and 12.2 before this Saturday. Open the 12.5 sections before this Saturday. I will also be posting supplemental videos because a lot of students have told me they like those. So I'm sort of planning it in my schedule rather than sort of randomly posting. I will post small videos all the time of homework hints based off of the questions that are happening. Those are not required videos. But there will be some videos on weekends that are just things that I think are good supplements. And I'm trying to structure this in a way that I think if I post it on a weekend and it's like a half an hour video, and it just helps. Somebody who's doing well might not need that, but it might help you get a little more ahead. I think that's worthwhile. And I'm trying to balance this stuff I want to provide to you without overwhelming you. You just need to focus on the homework and opening it when we discuss it. What I'm really thinking about is when exam 1 rolls around, there's always people that are still working on the 3-3 or 3-4 homework up to here. And if that usually happens because someone fell behind. And so you just want to set yourself up for success. These are competitive courses, and I'm trying to set you up in the best way possible. Okay, I've already said too much, but that's the new thing is I've added this little blue line in my plans for the weekends, kind of what I'm going to do. I'll probably hold Zoom reviews over these weekends, building up towards an exam. These are all new things I've been trying in the last year. All you need to focus on is the homework. When you go to quiz section, you don't have to prepare anything, but we'll be doing test preps. So I think I've got this course humming, but it's going to require a lot of work on your part. Beyond that, the Canvas has the Panopto recordings. If I ever do a Zoom, there's Zoom there. Grades will be here. Syllabus, did I update that link? Course syllabus. Yeah. You can see the breakdown. This is the standard department breakdown of what the pieces are. Exams are worth more. Typically, if you want to guarantee you're going to get above a 2.0, you basically need to get above 65% on the tests and do well on the homework. That gets you about 70% on everything. So that's your guide. If you want to get a much higher grade, then you need to get more like an 80%. I'm going to give you a lot of advice along the way of how to make that happen. But if your goal is to get a 3.5 and above or nothing, that's kind of a real tough expectation. It often leads to strife in the course. If you're in that situation and you say, I have to get above a 3.7 because some major tells me that, I want you to let me know. That's the sort of information I'm trying to collect because I would like to know which departments are saying that so that I can go and get better, find out what they're saying to students and get better information for you. It's a big project I'm working on, is collecting the precise information about how much pressure is there and what can we do to relieve that. So that's something I'm fighting on the back end, but that's a story for another day, and I can use your data. Beyond that, my goal, that's outside my realm. All I can do is try to help you do well in this course, and I'm going to try as much as I can with that. In terms of the discussion board, I'm going to be pretty active. Well, on the discussion board, you can see I really would like you to post by section. I would ask you that if you have a homework question, click on that section, pull it up, and find the corresponding questions that are there. Right now, I think I need to add to this. It's taking a second to load here. Oh, here it is. So I just posted a collection of hints. I will not do this always, but I talk a little bit about what we're doing. I don't know why it looks like that. And then I posted several little snippets on several problems. I'm doing more here because a lot of students ask me about graphing tools. So I thought this term what I would do is just provide them to you in links. So I have these short videos I'm making, these quick links. And then I decided to make a little playlist. I have this YouTube channel that's been growing, but I made a playlist specifically for this term, which is Calculus 3 and Small Bites is what I'm calling it. And that's where I'll post the little supplemental things I have. So if you want to, you don't need to watch all those. If you understand a homework question completely, no reason to watch. But if you're confused or want a little bit of background, or if you just want visuals, I've got them there. So I think that's all I will say for now. For those of you that have other things, accommodations, DRS, special situations, I will be emailing over the next few days. I'm kind of playing a little catch up. My daughter has knee surgery this week and we have a lot going on. But my plan is to sort of get everything ready for tomorrow. We'll have a class session. It'll be great. And then Tuesday, I'll contact everyone that needs contacting. We'll deal with any issues that are happening with WebAssign or anything. Don't worry about that immediately. We'll see what we can resolve tomorrow. And like I said, by Tuesday, I'll sort of update a bunch of things. And definitely by next weekend, I'll then be several weeks ahead. I'm always ahead. You're going to be in good hands here. and I'm excited to work with you. And I'm really excited for you to ask me interesting questions on the discussion board. That is where for me, the fun happens. And engage with your TAs. Your TAs are wonderful and they're trying to help you. So small questions, little things you're mixed up on in the homework, ask them. Bigger conceptual questions, ask me. All right, I'm looking forward to working with you, and we'll see you in class.